Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War Warhammer 2 quick match gameplay. This time around we are on Athel tomorrow playing as the Dwarves against the Force of Chaos. And we've got a bit of a unusual build this time around, at least for me, because we are going to be running some gyrocopters. So one of the things, I often bash gyrocopters. I personally think the brimstone guns as well as the bombers are just weak for their price, but I've been hearing that some people get good value out of them on hilly maps, and I figured, you know, this map is kind of inconvenient. Now, sure, you can be a corner camper and deploy all the way in the back with the cannons and stuff, but if you actually want to go out and engage your opponent, which personally I prefer doing, I don't like being a campy guy, then the gyrocopters are pretty good for that. You could potentially use them to dip over these hills and whatnot, get some pot shots, spot your enemy before they're coming to you, whittle down high value elite troops, and they can be pretty strong there. So we do have 3 units of gyrocopter brimstone guns, and they're kind of the centerpiece of the army, and we'll see how they perform. Now for my lord, he is a rune lord. Not much to be said for him. He is mounted on his toilet seat here. You can see he's gesturing wildly and he is fighting alongside the Crumbling Guard, the regiment of renown that grants a vigor to all nearby troops. These guys are a really solid great weapon unit, and they're actually the only great weapon unit in my army here. I kind of figured, you know what, let's have one great weapon unit in there. My original build was actually looking into just bring a bunch of longbeards with great weapons, but I decided, you know what, might be safer to go with mass stack up. As for the Rune Lord, for his kit, before I forget, obviously he's got the Locus of Power from the Toilet Seat. He also has Master Rune of Wrath and Rune Negation, and Master Rune of Grungni, because I was a little worried about Hell Cannon play, as well as just Marauders and that sort of thing. Now for the front line, it's a bunch of Dwarf Warriors. Now Dwarf Warriors will be able to outtrade Chaos Marauders, which will obviously a lot of Chaos players will bring. They're going to try to swarm you with a horde of Marauders and just get on top of you. Otherwise, they're going to lose to everything else, but they can just hold for a really long time and let our Thunderers do work. Besides that, we do have 2 units of miners with blasting charges. These guys, once again, can beat up infantry with their explosives and then close for melee and do a little bit of damage. They trade well above their weight against high armor targets, much more so than other cheap sort of chaff infantry like goblins or empire spears or that sort of thing. Then for our DACA, we do have the Ulthar's Raiders as well as 3 units of Thunderers. Ulthar's Raiders, of course, an amazing unit because they've got this ability here marked by Ulthar that reduces enemy missile resist, missile parry, and armor, makes them far more vulnerable to your firepower from Thunderers. Very important against high shield value Chaos troops. And finally, in the back, Dragonback Slayers to protect our backline a little bit. Obviously, they're not going to do amazing, probably, all on their own, but I figured with the Gyrocopters and the Thunderers, we'll have some chance. Now, for my opponent, he did decide to go with a interesting build. I'm actually not entirely sure how to describe it otherwise. For his lord, he's got Sigvald. He doesn't have magic, so perhaps a bit of a newer player. But it seems like I've been running into a lot of newer players. It might be because of the cheap deals on Humble Bundle, I think. But he's got Deadly Onslaught, Foe Seeker, Auric Armor, definitely the thing that makes Sigvald great, and it keeps him alive through thick and thin. Standard die for the leadership and defense, so definitely some good stuff there. And a front line composed almost entirely of shielded troops, and this is something you don't almost never see, honestly, but it's actually not a bad idea. I do think the lack of caster is definitely a bit of a weakness. Chaos Warriors, the shields, will outtrade units like Longbeards and Dwarf Warriors and all those troops handily. They'll win in the long run, and they got silver shields, so you don't have to worry about your opponent just wailing on you with missiles and melting you with thunder fire the way you have to with great weapons. That said, he does bring 2 chosen with great weapons here to chop through me. Personally, I think he might have been a little better off maybe going with 3 units of Chaos Warriors, or maybe almost, you could do like 3 units of Chaos Warriors and a caster instead of those guys, and I think he might have been better off 3 units of Chaos Warriors with great weapons. And then finally, he does have 3 Gorbis Chariots, and Gorbis Chariots, of course, the bane of the Dwarven existence. Chariots in general are just so annoying to deal with for the Dwarves. We're definitely going to see how the Doomflares perform. And you can see already I'm trying to chip away at them, snipe them down with the gyros. And they are doing some damage. This boy over here is down about 600 HP in the space of a few seconds. I'm trying to keep my gyros relatively close so they don't miss. They're not the most accurate unit with their spud guns. And you can see they're kind of whiffing a lot there. That said, gyros do have a few benefits. They actually apply the artillery debuff, I do believe. If we look here, it's just damage by artillery, so that's separate from missile damage. So that means you can potentially stack them on your Thunderers or whatever to apply more leadership debuffs. And you can see these Gorbis definitely not having the time of their lives. These guys already on 2,000 HP. And gyros, they only cost 8. Keep in mind that while gyros are not particularly cost effective necessarily, or they definitely will struggle to do quite enough damage, these guys do only cost 800 gold. So if I'm able to, say, kill a Gorbis per gyro or something, they will definitely be paying for themselves. And you can see we're whittling these boys down. These guys are taking a few collateral hits, and things are definitely looking okay. That said, this map definitely a few weird undulations, so it can definitely be a little hard to gauge exactly when your guys get a shot, and I definitely kind of made a little bit of a mistake here with, for example, these guys being on this reverse slope instead of up here ready to shoot. That said, I do see the mirror guard coming in, so you can see rather than allowing the mirror guard to get a very advantageous fight against my Dwarf Warriors, I'm actually going to pivot backwards and try to get my Grumbling Guard as well as my Rune Lord in there and get them, because they're going to trade much better with the mirror guard. In the meantime, the Gore Beasts are closing the gap here. They are going to get snared a little bit because my opponent didn't activate the charge bonus on the Dwarf Warriors, so they're going to get snared there for a little bit. You can see in the meantime the Spud Gun's probably doing some friendly fire, if there is such a thing, as we do melt these Gore Beast trades. Now the Thunder Fire really doing some damage, but my opponent's able to get into the back line. Gore Beasts do a lot of work. They're a very nasty unit. You can see the gyros there working on another unit of Gore Beasts, trying to whittle them down. And suddenly we're in a bit of a grim spot. You can see the Ulthar's Raiders there trying to throw their hatchets a little bit, actually doing quite a bit of hurt. And in the meantime, the Volley Fire, unfortunately the gyros, this is one big issue with them, that their tendency to do friendly fire is pretty large. So with their Spud Guns there, they're certainly doing some good work. You can see we hit these guys with Master of Wrath and Ruin. They're definitely getting whittled down. They actually lose a chariot there, but definitely some brutal stuff. In the meantime, in the frontline fight, things are going to go pretty horrible. Dwarf Warriors, of course, cannot go toe-to-toe with Chaos Warriors or Chosen, so they're going to get overrun. But in these blob fights, we are definitely able to take advantage of our AoE buffs and sort of keep our troops in the fight. You can see the Grumbling Guard is going to be raking in some kills here. The Mirror Guard is already decimated and basically gone. In the meantime, the Gore Beast chariots here, one unit shattered. Unfortunately, my unit of Thunderers here did rout, but we have removed 2 units of Gore Beasts from play. I'm not even sure if the last guys are over here. They actually routed, but they're now coming back. But as they charge in, they're taking Thunder of Fire to the face. Those weird gorilla monkey things. They're getting destroyed. I'm not even sure what these guys are supposed to be. What a Gore Beast is supposed to be. But either way, they get intercepted by Dragonback Slayers. They make it into the Thunder line for a little bit, get a few kills, but it's really not going to be anything too severe, and they're going to get taken to Pound Town. You can see they're just getting torn to shreds. Now, funny synergy here, unintentional synergy, but Dragonback Slayers apply a weakest fire with their Power of the Dragonback, which is actually making my Brimstones do more damage, which is kind of a humorous combo there. Not intentional, really, but it's funny. Regardless. In the frontline fight, things are going pretty badly for me. You can see this pocket over here, we're definitely winning. It's only Sigvald who's trying to snipe my Rune Lord and some Chaos Warriors and the Mirror Guard, who obviously don't stand a chance against the Grumbling Guard and a Horde of Warriors and the Rune Lord. But on this flank over here, Chaos Warriors, you can see this is how decisively Chaos Warriors beat down Dwarf Warriors. Keep in mind, Dwarf Warriors do cost 450, so they are not that cheap. And if you're able to pull this off with your Chaos Troops, definitely some nasty stuff. In the meantime, the Chosen here breaking through, slaughtering these miners, and now they're kind of just running through. You can see I'm trying to use my Brimstones here to shoot them down. And actually, this might have been a bit of a misplay. I perhaps should have used them on the Chaos Warriors. You can see I'm going to do that here, trying to get some pot shots in these guys' backs. And as the Chaos Warriors do push forward, we're actually able to get some fire from all flanks into these guys, and it's going to be very, very useful. Just whittle them down. In the meantime, Dragonback Slayers being pulled here to try to get in. These Chaos Warriors definitely not having the time of their lives. The front line, though, has buckled. Now the Chosen Chaos Warriors are freed up to push through, go after my back line, or go pinch through this infantry formation. That said, we do get a nice little intercept here. Dragonback Slayers getting in there, slowing these Chaos Warriors, preventing them from catching my Thunderers, and doing too much damage. The Thunderers will be able to sort of extricate themselves. The last 2 here running with their shields raised. And these Chaos Warriors are going to break. So definitely some nice stuff there. And the Brimstones continue their fire. They're able to whittle these troops down. You can see Rune of Wrath and Ruin there hitting the Chosen as my opponent does plow through. Chaos Warriors, of course, just nasty against Thunders because Thunders don't have, well, they can't bypass shields. So that's definitely some annoying stuff. You can see there my gyros are running out of ammo, which is very bad. Over here, Dragonback Slayers thrown in against Chaos Warriors. I'm not sure how this match goes in just a straight up fight if both units are at full HP, but beat up like this, Dragonback Slayers are definitely in a bad spot if they don't get support. That said, the crossfire hitting these Chaos Warriors from all sides is whittling them down for sure. I should have gotten the Ulthar's Raiders in here much sooner. Not let these poor Thunderers take the heat there. That's definitely not necessary. But these Chaos Warriors will not last too much longer. In the main pocket, in the meantime, our Grumbling Guard is being slowly but surely overwhelmed. They're certainly getting squeezed, feeling the pinch there from the Chosen. And the Rune Lord is just forced to run for dear life. Marked by Ulthar does go down these Chaos Warriors here, which will make them a little weaker, make them weaker to the Ulthar's Raiders, who also come in with the pincer. One of the cool things about Ulthar's Raiders is the fact that they're very quick on their feet. So once we break these guys, we can run them down with Ulthar's Raiders. Anytime over here, you can see bombing runs going in against these Chosen, probably doing some friendly fire on a poor Grumbling Guard, but they're going to take one for the clan there. You can see the Chosen getting blasted a little bit. Now, certainly the Gyro's not doing the most damage, but hey, at least they tried. It is a little difficult. I was trying not to nuke the Grumbling Guard here because you can see there's still kind of a concave over here of Grumbling Guard and Dwarf Warriors. And there's not actually that many Chosen left or Chaos Warriors left either, so it's a little difficult. But at this stage of the game, you can see Balance of Power starting to swing in my favor, despite our Gyros running out of ammo. And we are starting to crossfire these last remnants. These Chaos Warriors are getting run down, Gyros diving into melee, and able to break them with rear charges. Sigvald trying to pursue, and I'm kind of diving my Rune Lord in and out of my infantry formation, trying to shake him, because it's just so annoying. And anytime the Gyros here are going to rear charge the Chosen, definitely not a fight they want to be in, but if we're able to knock a few down, disrupt them, take a little bit of damage, that's always a good thing. And the nice thing now is that we're basically removing my opponent's shielded troops, those troops I was really worried about from play, and at this point he's been reduced to this single pocket here. And you can see another bombing run going in, decimating some of these Chaos troops, some of these Chosen getting bombed into oblivion. I'm not entirely sure how much the bombs did, to be honest. One of the things I really hate about bombs is the interface is just horrible. That is if one improvement that would make gyrocopters better without any other changes, and might even make them decent for their price, would be a change to their bombing interface. The fact that you can't aim it like a spell or something is really crappy, because it requires odd amounts of timing and luck even, and stupid amounts of micro. But that said, we are able to break off the Chosen with great weapons here, so both units of Chosen now gone from the field. The Chaos Warriors broken as well, so sudden terror shock, of course, from those Gyros who don't actually cause terror, but they do quite a bit of damage. A kind of pointless Rune of Wrath and Ruin here going down on the Chaos Warriors because they were like the last target with any model count. And my opponent is now crushed, and it is going to be GG for the Dwarves. So interesting build for my opponent to see here. Obviously, like I said, the lack of a caster definitely been a mistake. I think you could probably ditch, and I'll maybe go over this in customs real quick, but I think you could probably ditch the Chosen and get a caster in there. And that could actually have made all the difference in the world. You get 3 units of Chaos Warriors with great weapons, and then bring a caster. And if you bring like Lore of Shadows, because you get the Withering, you get wow, my brain's like slipping right now. But if you get the Withering, you get the Enfeebling Foe. That can be a huge combo. You hit one enemy pocket with Wither to make your Chaos Warriors better against them. You hit another with Enfeebling Foe to say make your great weapons crush them a little faster. And boom, you've suddenly got 2 holes in your enemy's front, and you're swarming through. If you can, and there's other lures you can also bring. There's other combos you can mess around with different combos. Piercing Bolts of Burning are not terrible. Honestly, Lore of Metal can be okay as well because you get that bonus to damage output. You get nice things like you get some awesome stuff like a Plague of Rust, Lore of Death, Soul Blight can be good. There's just so many combos here, and I think just having a caster is so important. As for my build, it was actually fun, and honestly, I was impressed by the gyrocopters. I'm not a huge fan of the unit still. I think the unit could use a tweak. A little more ammo would probably be enough to make them good, in my opinion. I think like 2 more rounds, 3 more rounds of ammo, something like that. Fact of the matter is, I think they do like 4,200 damage or something. Off the top of my head, it's like they do like 100 damage a shot, not quite. You got 3 gyros and obviously only 18 shots a gyro. So maybe it's like 5,400 or something. I don't know, but it's a fairly low amount of damage. And given how much they miss with those spud guns, I definitely think a little bit more ammo would be good. Then again, it would make it more important to counterplay them, but I do think there should be pressure. I do think there should be pressure to counterplay gyrocopters a bit more, because right now in a lot of cases you can kind of just shrug them off and ignore them. But regardless, for the rest of the build, well, the Dwarf Warriors held. They did what they had to. The only thing I expected of them was to hold. Thunders did okay. The Ulthar Raiders did great. The Grumbling Guard did amazing. 70 kills on them. 70 kills on the Dragonback Slayers. They just did some work against those Chaos Warriors and slowing them down, preventing them from pushing through. And in the late game, once those Chosen were left exposed with all these shield units gone and the chariots gone, it was definitely game over. But yeah, gyros, which this battle was really about. Definitely better than I thought. Like I said, the bombing interface is trash. I think it needs a change. I think it needs to be like a spell where you just point and click and your gyros fly over there and bomb it. We have a similar thing with dragons, dragon breaths. You just point and click and it's a spell, and you don't have to position your dragon precisely and then like aim the spell somehow and like time it correctly or anything of that sort. And I think it should be a similar case for pterodons and phoenixes and units like that. It just shouldn't be this weird thing where you got to time it exactly and luck out and just stupid. But yeah, regardless, really quickly hopping into customs, so I wanted to see just how much my opponent could have gotten with his, if he just swapped that build around a smidgen. Because Sigvald isn't a bad choice. Now, I'm not, personally, I feel like you could probably do better off just bringing Caster Lord if you just wanted a cheap Lord, but let's see you bring Siggy. I would cut Foe Seeker and Deadly Onslaught. I don't think those are worth it against Dwarves. Bring that Auric Armor. I actually don't think they're very worth it in general, but bring Auric Armor. Triple Chaos Warrior with great weapons, and I do believe I'm going to try to replicate his build here. I don't remember it exactly off the top of my head. I know he had 3 Gore Beasts. He had the Mirror Guard, and was it 4 units of Chaos Warriors? So yeah, he's got that. And then let's say Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows. You know, with a blob like this, you probably don't even need to bring him on a horse. You don't need Smoke and Mirrors. You can strip down everything. And look at that. You got 100 gold to spare. You could actually put him on a horse. You could have a caster on a horse with 2 spells. The Withering and Enfeebling Foe. And, yeah, and I think this would be a much better build. This would give you much better results. Otherwise, if you wanted to go even more budget, you could bring a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. You bring like a Lord of Shadows, and you can go even cheaper then. You can put him on a horse if you want. I personally would like a Manticore to zone away Gyros, but, ditch that. Ditch Evasion, sure. Boom, 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 boom. You got 1,000 gold now. Freed up. You could even bring the Blast of Standard. You got almost 1,000. How much is that worth? Only 70 gold. You could even, and you could have this freeze up gold for more troops. You could get another unit of Chaos Warriors to it. So I think that would really be the main change I would make to my opponent's build there, because otherwise I actually think it was not a bad build at all. And yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. So regardless, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found it entertaining and fun. Well played to my opponent. If you have any comments, any criticism, any questions, be sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to respond as soon as I can. Obviously, patch is coming soon, so lots of hype for that. I think we should get patch notes tomorrow. I'm pretty excited to see those. As usual, I do appreciate you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.